Hi, I'm Vera, and in today's video I'll tell you all about how rock and roll came to be. If you have met me before on video, you're meeting me again because it's been 3 months. What's up? But if you haven't seen me before, what's up? I guess, what's up? So the thing is, I'm very passionate about music and I really like the rock and roll genre. I feel like it's very freeing, but I'm also extremely opinionated, very opinionated. And I think my family at this point is just very sick of my very strong and popular opinions about music. So I just thought I'd kind of transfer it onto here. How this all started is I'm currently taking a college class. Well, I'm still in high school. Big flex. It's called History of Rock, and I really like it. There's such great music that falls under the genre of rock and roll, and people don't really know how it came to be. So this is for you, but it's also for me because I'm actually almost done with the class, and I have a final coming up, and it's like 30% of my grade. So I'm just reviewing, y'all. So right now you're probably not wondering this, but I'm gonna tell you what you should be wondering. What was there before rock and roll? Before rock and roll, there was the blues. They were actually born in slavery, and they combined African American and European elements of music in a very unique way. It was originally the African American church music that eventually transitioned into secular, meaning non-religious, in the end of 19th century when electric and expensive guitars came to be. And then sometime in the 1920s, the rural country blues came to be to set the stage for rock and roll. To clarify on all the terms, secular means non-religious, and that type of music, it was typically work songs and field hollers. So work songs, they were typically done in groups. There were tools involved. They had a very steady pulse to them, and it was also structured in a way that was kind of like a call and response. So there was a leader, and then they would call, and then the group would respond. Field hollers, on the other hand, they were solitary, and they did not have a steady pulse. So if you think about it, work songs, they kind of had more structure, while field hollers were, well, improvisation. After the Great Migration, country blues transitioned to urban blues. The Great Migration was when 6 million African Americans came from the rural South and moved to the urban Northeast, Midwest, and West. And that occurred between the years of 1916 and 1970. Country blues took place in rural US areas, and the instruments used were typically guitar, harmonica, bass, and piano, meaning acoustic instruments. They had pretty unstable form, and they were typically performed for friends, family, or, you know, a person who just play it for themselves, just for fun. And the lyrics were typically sadder and more depressing. So that transitioned to the urban blues, kind of like the city blues, because they took place in urban US areas. What was very different is that they had amplification, so electric guitars. They became very prominent. They had a band of players. They had a pretty stable form, so it was like very structured, and it was professional playing and lighthearted lyrics. So kind of like pop, where country blues were mostly for people's own enjoyment. Throughout the videos, I'm going to be giving y'all examples of stuff you can listen to just kind of get a better idea. So country and rural blues prominent artists, some of them were Robert Johnson and the Howlin' Wolf. I would very much like to insert a couple songs, but I can't because my video is going to get taken down. So, sorry. And also the thing I should probably mention about the Great Migration is that it created a lot more job and professional career opportunities for African Americans, because when they moved, they did not take pay cuts, meaning their salary was not reduced. It was rather increased. A very different, distinct type of music from secular, which we were just talking about, is spiritual. And spiritual music was based on Christian hymns, because when African Americans came to the United States, they were often taken to church by their slave owners to convert to Christianity. Spiritual music, it had like a moaning quality to it, and that was very similar to the field hollers. It also was used to often pass coded messages. So a very known example of this is the song Wade in the Water, which Harriet Tubman used to tell escaping slaves to get off the trail and into the water to make sure that the dogs of the slave catchers would not be able to sniff them out and catch them, because in the water there is no scent trail. So with that, hillbilly music also came to be prominent, and its very distinct characteristic is that it had like a boom chuck, like a boom chuck bass and guitar, and it had twangy vocals. You can hear a lot of in country today, you know, like twangy vocals, meaning it has like that very strong sound, like wow. I don't know what that was, but I tried. So at this point, what you should be wondering is, who were the first rock and rollers, now that I know how the stage was set for rock and roll? And they were, drumroll please, Little Richard and Chuck Berry. And I'm going to talk about them in my next video. Wow. If you can't do, teach. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed watching it. I definitely enjoyed talking. My voice is kind of sore right now. But, subscribe for more and give it a thumbs up if you like my little history lesson. I don't know. I always like learning about stuff, especially music. I hope I was able to create a nice educational environment. Thank you. Bye. Love you. Keep watching for the next video. It'll come soon, I hope.